That could be anything. I don't think that's proof of her being a racist. I think
Oh, bro, this is insane. I'll show you this and then the splaining afterwards. Fucking ridiculous.
Police officer in uniform recently released body cam footage here shows Rose Valentino using a racial slur and also admitting to it.
WCPO 9 News reporter Jake Ryle walks us through this footage.
District 3. Several cars are parked to pick up students at Western Hills University High School. Officer Valentino activated her lights and siren to get the drivers to move.
You gotta move. Ridiculous. Is she gonna just sit there?
A black teen who was leaving school raised his middle finger at Officer Valentino, which set Valentino off.
I'm sorry, this is a dude.
Oh, I hate him so much. God, I hate this world. Hate it.
Several seconds pass. Valentino then uses a racial slur under her breath.
Hate him.
Now notice when you have, I will show you again, the splainers in a minute. Yeah, the cop's a white woman. Now I'm going to show you in a minute the splainers that come out who are saying, oh, she was just angry. Her anger seems to be oddly specific. As in, you know, if you listen to her language, it seems to be very directed, not at individuals. Because I've gotten mad driving and I've gotten mad at individuals and my brain doesn't jump there. I don't know why. This is immediately where your brain jumps. But also, there's some interesting evidence, or she has an interesting history because they looked into some of her other cases. At least we'll see right here.
We dug into Officer Valentino's personnel file. She's a 14-year veteran with CPD. Her performance report shows she consistently meets or exceeds standards for patrolling. She trains officers who recently graduated from the academy. Her supervisors say she's dedicated and a hardworking beat officer.
That's a bad sign when this person is teaching other officers. But okay. Just like I said last week with the Mississippi police chief. Although that was way worse.
Adding, she comes to work with a positive, motivated attitude, which is appreciated, and that she does great work. She's been reprimanded in the past for not turning on her body camera multiple times. And this is not the first time Officer Valentino has been on the city's radar for an issue involving race. In November 2018, she was one of 3 police officers involved in a lawsuit where Jerry Isham, a realtor, was showing a home to Anthony Edwards. Both are black. Court docs show she escalated the situation by aiming her gun at the 2 men and then putting them in handcuffs.
So when you compare that with what she's saying now, when she's just angry. And then we have this here where we're starting to establish a pattern of behavior. And then you keep in mind she trains other officers. So that makes this whole thing even worse.
The city settled the case for $151,000. And in March
of your taxpayer money, by the way. She didn't get any punishment. That was your tax dollars.
2020, while off duty, she pushed and punched 2 family members and used an umbrella to damage a car. She was convicted by plea of disorderly conduct and was referred to a behavioral health center for anger management. Fast forward to the April 5th incident. According to the internal report, Officer Valentino acknowledged her statements weren't appropriate and that she was surprised the racial slur came out. And
no, she wasn't. She was too comfortable saying that. I can tell when people use it a lot, they have a certain way of saying it. It's sort of like when you never use those words, they come out awkwardly. If you've ever tried out some kind of insult or something, anything like that, you're not used to saying, or you're is bad and it kind of makes you hesitate. It sounds a little weird. You kind of have this weird inflection in your voice. She didn't have that. Which tells me she's said this before. She's said things like this before, given she's had a history of anger management. That also would, lead me to believe that this is not the first time. This is just the time she got caught.
That it didn't represent who she was as an officer or how she felt about African Americans. She claimed to have been desensitized to racially offensive language by music and hearing people talk on the street.
Splaining. Bruh, when do we use the hard R? There we go again. There we go again. The splaining. They're trying to blame us. Don't you love that? She'll throw out racial slurs. She'll have a history with black people, and then try to blame us by going, well, it's in your music. Where do we use the hard R? I've said this. There's so many people on the right who say this. You call yourself that? Where? Where? I'm not aware of it. I'm not aware of any music that uses the hard R. This lady trains other officers, and we're seeing a pattern of behavior from her. You do not think that's going to rub off on other officers? And like I said, I don't buy this bullshit because one, that came out way too smooth to be an accident, and two, she's trying to blame us, saying, "Well, you call yourself that in music." She's trying to pull that. That ain't going to fly because, like I said, you send a black person down to just get a black face, right? Go find your Tatums or something, send them down there and use the hard R. See what will happen. See what the fuck's going to happen. Because I guarantee you it's not going to be much of a difference between a black person or a white person using that towards another black person. Like I said, like the white liberals don't care about this. They're not talking about this. I didn't see any of them bring this up. I didn't see any of them bring up Mississippi. I didn't see any of them bring up, what's it called? I didn't even see them bring up Sesame Place. Because they don't care. But they'll say stupid shit like milk is racist. You better believe they'll say some dumb shit like that.
In that report, she said her job is having a negative impact on her mental health, something she's since sought help for.
According to the city manager, the disciplinary hearing process continues. We'll have more updates when they become available. Jake Ryle, WCPA.
Why is it when it's white ignorance we can pull out mental health all the time? Why is that always a valid excuse? They accept that as a valid excuse whenever it's white ignorance doing racist shit. But I just love how when it's certain people, it's just we have every excuse. It was the media made me do it. It's just I'm just exposed to it. They were saying it. My mental health. I was just angry. It's just. But look, and we will look now. Let's go to the splainers. Let's go to the splainers. This is crazy, bro. He almost had it at one point. And then he fumbled it.
In Cincinnati, Ohio, who has been caught using the N-word on her body-worn camera. Now upset. So I'm not sure if it's a bad day or just a bad life. I don't know what's going on, but she's already upset.
A black teen who was leaving school raised it.
Clearly, something's wrong. I hate them. Speaking about black folks, obviously, we'll get to that a little bit later. I hate this world. What world? Where it's black and white, or you just hate your life? Like, what's going on? Again, you're already upset. You're already triggered from the very beginning. So that little gesture right there, just sent her over the edge of where she already was. She's already on the edge. That sent her pretty much over the edge.
Yeah, but if you're over the edge, if that's where your brain jumps, isn't that indicative of something within your self-conscious or your subconscious? That tends to be what happens, right? That's actually a tactic you might see some people use. If you're arguing with people, you could tell, I think this guy has some prejudices. One of the things you can do is you rile them up on purpose, right? You troll them, rile them up, get them angry. Because once they get angry enough, they slip up and then they say how they really feel. I've seen this tactic. It's actually really funny when people pull it off.
My question would be, what has you on the edge? Why are you on the edge while you're in law enforcement? What's going on in your life? Do you need a break? Do you need to go ahead and just resign? I don't know what's going on. But let's continue. Yeah, I can see anger management. I'm thinking maybe something's been going on over the past 2 or 3 years. Maybe the scamdemic. Maybe something's going on because you damaging the car with an umbrella. You Britney Spears when she went bald-headed and went crazy. Is that what's happening? See, that doesn't make any sense. You were off duty doing this. Like, why did you do that? What was the context there? I don't know, but it sounds like you're kind of losing your marbles a little bit. And nothing against anybody that has real mental health issues, but I think something's a little bit wrong here. Okay, something's wrong. Obviously, the anger management didn't really do the job it was supposed to be doing. And as far as that lawsuit,
well, why do we get the excuse of mental health and anger management when it's always in this direction? I don't hear it in any other direction. Why is it that they get the benefit of the doubt? It's just like Sesame's Place, right? We're gonna get into that one in a second. It's just the same thing where everyone's saying it was just a mistake. It was just a mistake. Based on what context? What evidence do you have that it was a mistake? But they all keep saying mistake they just grant that benefit of the doubt. But it's always in one direction. That's the problem.
I mean, that could be anything. That could have been racism. It could have just been they weren't cooperating. She had the wrong thing. I don't know exactly what that was.
It could have been. Okay.
That could be anything. I don't think that's proof of her being a racist. I think
I like how if you say cracker, the right loses their goddamn mind, which isn't even a racial slur. But I do like hearing this all the time. He did the same thing with the judge. Remember the Louisiana judge? He did the same thing. Yeah, she called a black teen the hard R. That doesn't necessarily mean it's indicative of her being racist. I'm sorry, what? And then also given the context that she tried splaining away, saying it was media and other black people's fault because they're saying, well, you use the word, which we don't. I'm sorry, what? Why? But these are the same people who will lose their mind over words like Karen or cracker, which are not racial slurs. I'm just saying it's one direction, bro. I don't see these benefits of the doubts going to any other groups, right? Like with Stop Asian Hate, and they'll be like, well, look at these black people attacking Asian people. And it'll show like some drugged out, clearly mentally deranged black dude fucking strung out on something, most likely fentanyl, like just randomly attacking Asian person, no evidence of racial motive. And then they'll go, that's clear racism, blatant, cut and dry, end of story. There's no mental health talk there. That's gone, right? It disappears then. Then it's like, wow, addiction, there's real issues with addiction, fucking with people and making people get violent. No, it's just, it's racially motivated. This is just black people. This is what they do. Weird how that benefit of the doubt fucking disappears depending on the group. What is anti-black racism? I don't know. Like I'm dead ass. I don't even know anymore. Right? Like when we had Buffalo, I did the video on it. We had fucking Buffalo happen and Tucker Carlson refused to call him a white supremacist. I'm like, the dude is screaming, I am a white supremacist, and then goes out and kills black people. Tucker Carlson won't call him that. Yeah, if you could go look at my video later if you want, where I went over that, where I was like, I don't know what has to happen. What has to happen before these people will say, okay. There would be a second Mafa and these people would still be like, now, are we sure we're just doing this based on race?
People talk on the street in that report.
Nah, I think that's that's definitely a cop out because
okay, thank you. At least he admits that one.
You know, you're using certain words in anger. You know what you're doing. It's not about, oh, you hear people talk about it and, you know. They
exactly. So why did you just dismiss her as just being angry? Right? Even you admit they use the words for a reason. Absolutely 100%. It's not just blind anger. There's clearly something underneath that, especially given, like I said, we saw parts of her record. She has a history of being hostile, unnecessarily hostile towards black people. 100%. So why did you just jump back to there might be something there when 2 seconds later you're like, it's just anger?
In a conversation, and it wasn't even about necessarily the racial slur. You said, I hate them. Who is them? You're speaking about black folks. You're speaking about black folks that just don't want to cooperate and do right. You say you hate them. It's not even about the N-word necessarily. It's not even about the N-word slipping out. It's
okay. He's correct so far.
About how you were feeling in that moment, and you were using the word to describe how you felt. It's not even about the word coming out, really. It's about you hate black folks in that particular moment because maybe you...
It's not in that particular moment. We've seen, like I said, a pattern.
You see a pattern of them doing stuff like that. Maybe you just don't like black folks in general. I don't know what it is.
Where's this nuance coming from? Where is this like, well, let's see, where is that coming from?
I don't think there's evidence of racism from her, according to her her record over 14 years.
We just saw her record. We just saw her record. She has at least one example. And I was going, well, he's jumping back and forth. Which is it? Is she fucking racist or is she not? Because now you're jumping from this might be indicative of it. Why would you say this unless you felt this to now? Well, I mean, if we look at a record, it's like he's trying so hard to play both sides because it's like undeniable, but at the same time, he knows his audience. He knows his audience, and he's like, they want to be comforted because Republican Party moved in this direction. That's where they've been moving the past since like 2019-ish. They started becoming the party of fragile white people. I didn't want them to go to this direction. They chose to go this direction. So he knows he needs to reassure his audience. Don't worry, it's all good. Don't worry about it.
You would see a lot more of that kind of stuff on the record, aside from that one lawsuit, if racism was an issue. I think the issue here is anger.
Or she said her job is having a negative impact on her mental health, something she's since sought help for.
Exactly. That's exactly what's going on. That job messing the mental health up. She's having a hard time dealing with the job. That's what's
going on. So now it's just having a hard time dealing with the job. So now we're back there again.
Going on. You're a 14-year veteran. Do you have any children? Are you a single mother? What's going on in your personal life? I think that'd be a good indicator of what's happening here.
Did the right ever do this with anybody who used words like, I don't know, cracker or Karen or snow roach? Did the right ever, did they do that with any of the, I don't know, like the drugged out black dudes who attacked Asian dudes? Did they ever go, well, maybe he's mentally ill, maybe he has a drug problem, maybe we got to address this in New York? Where did they ever do this? Ever? I just like how when it's, as soon as it's flipped, now all the excuses comes out. Now it could have been this, it could have been this, it could have been this. They need, it's crazy, bro. They need any plausible deniability. The smallest bit of plausible deniability, they'll latch onto it. They don't want fucking anything to just be straight up racism. And like I said, this case was mild compared to last week. Last week with the Mississippi police chief, that one was crazy.